And that was it, girl. Anything my gloves touch has been sterilized. Tilt your head back slightly for me. Right there is perfect. Just keeping your head in a perfect 90. Now what I'm doing now, I'm actually going to custom shape this piece of jewelry to fit your nose in particular. One piece of jewelry doesn't fit everybody, so I think this actually will accommodate the piercing, the nostril, during swelling, everything just perfectly. Okay. So like I said, all I need from you to do is just relax. Give me a big, huge, deep breath in when I ask, and a nice, long, slow exhale, okay? Let's begin. Keeping the finger inside to embrace the tissue. Hold it down, keep it flat. Keeping everything at a nice 45. Give me a big, deep breath in, and out. That was it. Piercing is done.
Oh.
Not too bad, huh?
Not that bad.
Yeah,
just like pressure.
Awesome. Jewelry's in. How was it?
Oh.
We're done.
Okay.
I begin the piercing by applying a drape sheet and then pinch the tissue with my thumb and forefinger on one hand. Using my index finger on the other hand, I then give the tissue extra bracing support. Then placing the needle under the tissue, aligning my marks, I pierce. With the use of a pin coupling, I insert jewelry by pushing out the needle with the jewelry. Pop on the bead, piercing is complete. Here Ruben demonstrates how he holds everything in his hands. He then applies a drape sheet and gently massages the tissue, making needle indentions to assure himself of the location of the piercing. Bracing the tissue with his thumb and forefinger, he then pierces. Taking the jewelry from between his fingers, he pushes out the needle with the jewelry. Disposing of sharp, attaching bead, piercing is complete.
Alright. Let's get this loosen up a little bit. And just like I said, I'll tell you take a big deep breath in. Right, the exhale, roll the other way. Right there. Alright. Big deep breath in for me. And exhale. All good.
I begin with the client in the seated position and dry the tongue with a folded piece of gauze placed under the tongue. I begin marking by drawing a line straight down the center to show me where both muscles connect. I then grab the tongue with my thumb and forefinger and fold upwards to bowl the tongue. I draw a line to the edge while the tongue is still in the bent shape, showing me the natural angle for the barbell when the tongue is in a relaxed state. With the client still in a seated position, I re-dry the tongue. I use the middle finger and thumb on my left hand to brace each side of the mark under the tongue. This will be the exit point. Laying the tongue over my fingers, I pinch the left side of the tongue with my fore and middle finger of my left hand. While positioning the needle, I pinch the right side of the tongue, essentially bracing each side. Pulling the tongue open to see the connective tissue, I pierce. Inserting jewelry and screwing on bead, piercing is complete.
Deep breath in and out.
Oh.
Put your head back slightly. Stick your tongue out. Stick your tongue out. Okay.
But all I use is a gauze pad, pretty much as a clamp. I can just throw it in the trash.
Okay.
Okay, stick your tongue out as far as you can for me. Line this up, and then I'll tell you to take a deep breath in, and I'll tell you to exhale, and it'll be all over with by the time you're done breathing out. All right, deep breath in for me, and exhale. And just keep your tongue out. I'll screw the ball on. It'll be all done.
Breathe, baby. You see your face
Yeah.
coming out your neck.
Get all that head on the breath.
Holding the tongue with a piece of gauze, Chris is able to get a good grasp of the tongue. One of the benefits of laying your client down is having your exit point almost always in immediate view. Aligning his marks, he pierces. With the jewelry already attached to the needle, piercing and jewelry insertion are done in one fluid, continuous motion. Removing the sharp, screwing on the bead, piercing is complete. Here we see Ruben apply almost the same technique Chris utilized, with the exception being the tissue bracing. Ruben is using 2 fingers, one on each side of the exit point, where Chris used only one, while they both pinched the top with their thumb. He bowls the tongue upward, creating the natural angle for the piercing to be in. He then places the needle at the end of his thumb, bowls the tongue to see his exit point, and pierces. With the jewelry insertion and application of bead, piercing is then complete.
Exhale, but do it all through your nose. If you open your mouth at all, it could affect the depth and placement of this, okay? So looking at this, putting this at about quarter bevel, peel the lip back. Okay, don't make your lip hard. Allow me to move it, because I want you to move it, okay? Allowing for the scoop. Bracing it on each side, keeping it nice and flat and level, pulling up. Taking a deep breath in and exhale. Insertion by opening the ring slightly, bracing the skin, pushing the needle out with the jewelry. And put the bead on the inside to give the ring more stability. Keep it from rotating. And we're done, brother.
Take a nice big deep breath in for me. And let it out nice and slow. Pump it up just a little bit. Cool, all good.
Right there, so it's just at a perfect 90. That's going to be awesome. Now, like I said, I need you to just relax, focus on your breathing, but it's real important you breathe just through your nose, okay? Because I'm piercing your lip. If you open your mouth, if you move your lip at all, it could affect the depth and placement of this, okay?
Okay.
Cool. So just relax. No, that's what I'm saying, don't do.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, just relax. Get everything together here on my end. Having the half a bevel, about a fourth. Pinching the skin tightly, pulling up. Okay, give me a deep breath in and out. How bad was that?
Not bad.
Awesome. Jewelry thing. And that was it.
Begin by deciding appropriate needle depth by placing dot on needle bevel a quarter to a third from the end of the needle. Pick lip up and place over the needle, bevel down. Brace tissue tightly on each side of the needle, and with the third finger brace the top of the exit point, creating a 90-degree angle between original angle of the needle and the exit. Scoop, pierce, insert jewelry, apply the gem, and piercing is complete. Here we see Ruben utilize the exact technique as before, with the exception being the fingers he uses for tissue bracing and creating a 90-degree angle. Here, he gauges the depth. Lays the lip down over the needle, braces the tissue, creates a 90-degree angle, scoops, and pierces. Jewelry is inserted, bead attached, piercing is complete. With the client laying on his back and head hanging over the table, I draw a line on the septum at the angle the piercing will be sitting at. This will be your needle guide reference. In this case, it is important that the jewelry be able to be flipped up, so we place the piercing in the soft sweet spot in the front of the nose to ensure jewelry can be turned up. After drawing the horizontal line, you can extend the marks onto the septum walls on each side. Don't be afraid to get your finger in the client's nose to familiarize yourself with the depth of the piercing. You can also extend the original line on the septum to the sides of the nostrils to use as extra needle guide reference. Once gloves have been changed, with jewelry and needle in hand, do a dry run of the piercing with the back of the needle to familiarize yourself with the piercing depth, angle, and location of the piercing. When comfortable with these factors, brace the tissue, have client exhale, and pierce. Insert jewelry,